Hello guys and gals, I'm Remy, and today we'll be teaching you guys some skills for EMTs. So today we're going to be going over a very important first responder skill, the Sling and the Swathe. So this is primarily going to be used to immobilize an injured arm to prevent any further damage and to relieve some pain if possible. So with that being said, let's get right into it. But before we do, a quick message from our patron saint. For that, let's go to Remy in the car. Remy in the car.
Alright, anyways, let's talk about Pantaleon. Saint Pantaleon is our patron saint of this video because he is the great martyr and healer saint. So, we know him as the healer saint because in his early life, known as Saint Pantaleon, Pantaleon, Saint Pantaleon, he was known as Saint Pantaleon. After he studied medicine, he went out serving those around him. One day, he found a dead child on the street next to a poisonous snake. So he prayed to God and asked for this kid to be back, to be revived. And if this kid was to come back, Pantaleon at the time, swore that he would follow Jesus Christ and serve as a Christian. Immediately, the child arose, and the snake right next to him died. And so from then on, Saint Pantaleon dedicated his life to serving those as a healer, to anyone around him free of charge, even going so far as to visit prisoners and serving their needs as well. Of course, when a lot of doctors and the emperor heard about this, they were not very happy about how great Pantaleon was at healing. So when the emperor heard of Saint Pantaleon, he wanted to bring him in to confess against Christ, but Saint Pantaleon refused, instead offering this: bring a paralytic man, and then the pagans would pray in front of this man, and then Saint Pantaleon would pray to his god and see which god would heal this man. So, of course, the pagans prayed and nothing happened. And then Saint Pantaleon prayed to our god, and instantly that paralytic was healed. Which, unfortunately, did not make Maximilian, the ruler at the time, very happy. He actually ordered for the execution of the paralytic man, who did nothing wrong. And Saint Pantaleon was brought to be tortured and eventually killed. And because of that, he's known as the healer saint and also a great martyr. So, whenever you, your friend, your parent, or anyone you know gets injured or sick, especially someone like Billy even, you could pray to Saint Pantaleon and ask for him to intercede to Christ or God for their healing. With that being said, let's get back right into our video.
Before we begin, let's get into a little about how I know this stuff, why I know this stuff, and how I can use this stuff. So, I'm Remy, as you may or may not have known already, and I'm an EMT. On certain days of the week and on weekends, I'm a volunteer EMT for my local squad. So, being an EMT means I get to go out whenever possible and help people to their fullest extent. A big reason I love doing what I do is because it gives me an opportunity to serve those around me. And even knowing a simple skill like this can improve the lives of those around you guys and can help you be prepared for a situation if you're in it. So, let's continue on. What we'll be using today is a cravat, also known as a triangular bandage. Why is this called a triangular bandage? Well, let me show you. So, we're going to unroll this. And as you can see, it is a circle. No, just kidding. It's a triangle, a triangular bandage. And this is what we will be using today, 2 of them to be precise, to create our sling and swathe. So let's get right into it. The first thing we need to know is that whenever we immobilize something or splint something, that you want to check 3 things: PMS, pulse, motor, and sensory. What does that mean? Well, let's say you're going to, from your angle, going to be splinting the left arm. Of course, this is my right arm, but from your angle, it's the left arm. Then you want to check the pulse, right? Because we want to have a baseline to compare to after we finish splinting. So for me, the pulse would be, you could check the ulnar or radial pulse. Typically, you're going to want to check the ulnar pulse. Typically you'll want to check the radial pulse. It'll be right next to the thumb. Put 2 fingers and you could locate your pulse right now actually. Take 2 fingers, always 2 fingers, and you can feel for your pulse. And this is how you measure your pulse. Typically you'll want to count for 60 seconds or 30 seconds and then double that. With that being said, we just went over pulse. Let's go over motor. So motor is assessing the function if it can move, right? So if it's the arm, we want to assess if the farthest extremity can move. In this case, that extremity would be one of the fingers of my arm. So we'll ask the patient, sir, could you move your left index, or currently my right index finger? I'll be like, yeah, I could try. And you look for them to move the right index finger. And then, sir, you could say, sir, can you wiggle all your fingers? And they'll wiggle all their fingers, showing that they have motor skills or showing that they lack the current motor skills. Next, we'll go on to sensory. So ask the patient, or first what you want to do is explain to the patient what you're going to do before you do it so that they're more comfortable with you. So, hypothetical sir or ma'am, what I'm going to do now is ask you to cover your eyes so that I can check your sensory in your fingers. So when I ask you, please close your eyes and I'll check with you, okay? All right, so I'll ask myself, Remy, please close your eyes so I can check your sensory skills, okay? Now, which finger am I holding? Right pinky. Perfect, you said the right pinky, which is correct. This means that I have sensory skills. If I feel nothing on any finger, then this means I do not currently have any sense in my farthest extremity. And it's important to check this PMS so that we can have a baseline to compare to after we finish splinting. That being said, let's continue on to our sling and swathe.
Alright, so now it's time for our sling and swathe, or swathe. So, what we're going to do is immobilize an arm to prevent it from any further injury. So mostly this is immobilizing our shoulder up here and our elbow from moving at all. So, to begin, we're going to take one cravat, which I have right next to me. And by the way, the footage got deleted for some reason, so it's no problem. We're checking in from my bedroom. Gonna make sure it's a little unrolled. There we go. So, as you can see, we have one point of the cravat right here. And we're gonna point this towards the injured arm. So, let's say my right arm is injured. We're gonna point this towards that. Just gonna leave the point right here under our arm. And we're gonna take this top little end and go around my neck from there. Then we're going to take our bottom end. And of course, before you begin, you're going to ask your patient to hold their arm in a position of comfort, like so. Or if you have a partner, you can ask them to immobilize the arm like this and just hold it there with 2 hands. Next, we're going to take the bottom end, go around the neck. And for demonstration purposes, I'm currently not holding my arm right there, but let's see if I can do that. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to have to tie this with 1 hand. And this is just be a simple knot. You just go over and under, like so. And you're just going to tighten that down so it releases that tension. All right, so now if we let our arm rest, and we can tighten this a little more. So now if we let our arm rest, this is going to be carrying our arm, and you could pull this up a little more just to cover the rest and pull this a little further down. So now the problem is we can still move side to side pretty easily. So we're going to find a way to stabilize the arm again. So we're going to take another cravat, and this time you're going to want to roll this up, rather fold it up, like so, until it's one straight line. Then we're going to take this line, and we're going to have the ends meet here when we tie our knot across the body. So we're going to have our midsection on the outside of this arm. Okay. And then let's see if I could grab this. Okay, perfect, got it. And then we're going to tie this down here. And of course, you want this section holding the arm stable from up here. And make sure this is tight, but also comfortable for your patient or whoever you're helping. Ta-da! So, now that we have this tight, you can see that I cannot really move my arm side to side, and it's not falling up and down because it's stabilized.
All right, so now that we're set up like this, where do we go from here? Take a wild guess. That's right, we're going to assess our pulse motor sensory again. So this is how we compare our baselines. After we're done, well, what's our next step? So this Sling and Swathe, while it's keeping me comfortable, is not solving the problem that is broken bone. To solve that, we're going to want to go to a hospital or a doctor. Continuing on, we're going to want to go to a doctor or hospital so we can get x-rayed and the proper treatment can be carried out. With that being said, let's continue on to our next segment. So guys and gals, as with any skill you learn, the best way to retain that knowledge and to perfect it is keep practicing, no matter what you do. Today, by doing this little training video for you guys, I'm also practicing the skill of doing the Sling and Swathe so that in the future, if I need to, I will be very well refreshed on it. Okay, now, in anything you do, especially emergency medical services, you want to stay very organized. So this means putting all your tools back, ensuring that you wipe them down very, very diligently to get rid of, oh, the lights just turned off. It's automatic. We'll be right back. Ta-da! So, wipe everything down diligently with sanding cloth, which would be the disinfectant wipes, and then put everything back as organized as possible. So these cravats are for training purposes, so we're just going to leave them as we found them, fold them up neatly, and place them down here. Now, in the real field, obviously you never want to reuse cravats, and there's no excuse for that at all. That goes with any disposable medical equipment, like, let's say, gauze pads, tape that you're using on somebody, anything like that, you want to dispose of as soon as possible. Why, you might ask? Because anything that we use on a patient can have a large amount of disease on it, specifically bloodborne pathogens, which you do not want. With our cravats put away, we can go over a segment I like to call 1 minute of random facts, because that's going to be exactly what it is. Alright, as I don't have a timer next to me, we are going to start in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, one cool fact is that when you're dealing with an eye injury, let's say it's the right eye, you're going to ask a patient to close both eyes for the remainder, and then you're most likely going to want to wrap the eye or both eyes. So why would you want both eyes to be closed if one of them can still work? That's a good question. If one eye is moving, the other one is also likely to move. So to prevent that eye from moving and getting even further damage on it, we're going to ask the patient to simply close both eyes, and then we're going to wrap it up to prevent those eyes from opening. Another cool fact is, let's say somebody has fluid in their lungs and we're listening through a stethoscope and we can hear that fluid in their lungs. What will we recommend to immediately improve that situation when they're breathing? So let's say if they have a nasty coughlin or something like that, well, we'll ask them to sit up. So when you're lying down, the fluid is going to be covering all the fields of your lungs. But when you sit up, usually we'll put them in a Fowler's position, which means to be sitting at a 90-degree angle, or semi-Fowler's, which is about 45-degree angles, half of Fowler's. This is going to let the fluid go to the bottom of the lungs and let you use those top and midfield of the lungs to better breathe. So whenever there's a situation like that, ensure that the person is sitting upright or sitting at an upright angle. And with that being said, that brings me to the closure of our EMT skills video. So keep updated on all your EMT skills or all of the first responder skills, and you can watch plenty of other YouTube videos to learn about it. Prepare yourself for any situation and keep yourselves ready, guys and gals. That being said, God bless, see you at evening prayers, and take care.